we have to know how to improvise, right? This is wonderful. Oh, I see. I'm supposed to be catering to the press. The hell with the press. That's the problem with our country. They don't know what to do. I will tell you, it's such an honor, such a great ship. You know, I was on the Iowa recently. Pretty much of a sister. Which one's bigger? They're both pretty good. Which one's bigger? These are the largest guns ever made in the United States. And we love the Second Amendment, right? Right? Oh, they are big. And we're going to learn how to use our guns because we're never going to have to use them if we do that. You know that, right? Because we are going to build our military so big and so strong and so powerful that we're not going to have to use it most likely. But you have to use the word most likely because the bad people out there that are taking advantage of us, they have to know there's a good chance that, yes, they'll be in big, big trouble. You know? We have to show some unpredictability. You understand that, right? Do you remember when President Obama said, I will leave Iraq on a certain date? The enemy just sat back. They said, I can't believe they're telling us. They just went back. They went back into their corners, and they waited. And as soon as we left, they came out. Unpredictability. General Douglas MacArthur, right? From this area, right? One of my all-time favorites. You know, in the history of West Point, he had the highest average. I'm a big person for academics. I've always been. People don't know that about me. But I'm a big person. I believe in it. I always loved school. I always loved academics. But General MacArthur had the highest marks in the history of West Point. That's what we like. I like that. You know, it's only one thing. It's only one thing. But it's something. It means like there's a good level of intelligence, which we can use. Do we agree with that? So we're going to talk about our veterans a lot in a little while because we're putting out a plan, and we're putting it out today. We're giving it to the press. Press has actually been very nice to me lately. They've been saying, gee, he's winning again. But I was never losing. It's true. No, they've been very, very nice. No. They've been very, very nice. Hey, by the way, pan the cameras over here, folks. Just pan them for a second. Pan them over here. Show them the kind of crowd we have. You know, they never like doing that. They never like, what a crowd. They never like doing that. They actually say, this is where Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney got together, as you know, when they announced the vice presidency, right? And my guys say our crowd today is even much bigger. That's pretty good, I'll tell you. I'll tell you, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Look at all these people. But I love you too. Who said that? Who said that? I love you too. But I was going to say, so, you know, so we won every poll for 100 days. And then it happened. A poll came out where I was 2 points down. But they said in whatever the hell it is, you know, in that level of, in other words, but I don't consider that the love. I consider that, but it was a poll that I don't agree with. But every other poll has me up. And the next day, bigger than Benghazi with Hillary, bigger. No. Trump, finally. Oh, they were so happy. They went, I have never seen a poll get more play than this one poll. Then other ones came out and they kept going back to the one. They just couldn't stop. But now what happened? NBC, as much as they hate doing it, you know, did you watch during the debate they had who's winning the debate? And it said Trump, Trump, Trump. By a lot. By a lot. No, it's true. Who's winning? On CNBC, they had who's winning the debate on the bottom, the streamer, right? And it kept saying Trump, Trump, at big numbers like 56, 58, 59, 39, you know, big. Don't forget, when you're in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and you've got 15 people, that's a lot. So they keep saying Trump, 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 Trump. Then they announced it yesterday, and I came in third. Can you believe it? In the debate. They said he came in third. This guy, and I have to say, I thought it was terrible, because Governor Kasich, I thought he was a nice guy. But I've heard he's not. Always remember what you've heard. not because the guy says hello to you nicely one time or 5 times. So I hear he's a very nice guy. But then about 3 days before the debate, I heard him going, they don't have, talking about Ben Carson and myself, they don't have the experience. I don't have the experience. I built a great company, one of the great companies. I employ tens of thousands, and over the years, tens of thousands of people, have some of the greatest real estate assets in the world, have this incredible company, cash flow. And the only reason I'm saying it is because we need that kind of thinking in Washington. And I have this guy who's a managing director of Lehman Brothers, which almost took the whole world down, and he's saying, well, I don't know if Trump has the experience. Give me a break. Trump had. I mean, now, as far as Dr. Carson, you'll have to ask him. He's going to have to defend himself. But I can tell you, oh, do I have experience. I've been dealing with politicians all my life. They're easy, believe me. I deal all over the world with deals, and I deal with prime ministers, I deal with the heads of countries. That's what I do. And I get along with everybody. Remember when they were saying, well, he gets along with Democrats? Yeah, I get along with everybody. It was my obligation. When you're running, and actually somebody said he's a world-class businessman. I like that. In fact, I framed it. It was a little piece. But I said, when you are a businessman and a really successful one, you got to get along with everybody. You can't just, like, because when you have a deal going on in some country, you got to get along. Otherwise, the deal's not going to happen. So they talk about temperament. I can tell you, Hillary Clinton, who does not have it, I tell you what, you want to have, honestly, another 4 or maybe 8 more years of, you want to have another 4 or 8 years of being third rate, fourth rate. We don't even know if we'll have a country left by that time. Believe me, it's a very important election. You know, I backed Mitt Romney. I backed John McCain. I was very disappointed both times. This time I said, I'm just going to do it myself. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win. So, Jeb, remember Jeb? Do you remember him? Jeb Bush and Hillary on the same day. It was amazing. And they used the same. They said, I don't know if Mr. Trump has the right tone, meaning I was a little bit tougher than what they wanted to hear. So I'm saying to myself, we have China and every country in the world ripping us off. We have ISIS cutting off the heads of a person if he happens or she happens to be Christian. And lots of other heads also, by the way. So we have ISIS chopping off heads, drowning people. Like this is like medieval times, right? We have everything bad. We have Russia, and I would get along with Russia. And I'll get along with Putin. And he's not going to make us look bad anymore. But we're going to get along. He has no respect for Hillary. Putin, by the way, has no respect for Hillary whatsoever, and no respect for President Obama. None. He will respect us. That's all we want. We're not looking for trouble. Look at China. They're building unbelievable islands in the South China Sea. Unbelievable. One of the great projects. They're taking this stuff out of the ocean. Do you think they got an environmental impact statement? I don't think so. See, in this country, we can't do that because we'd have to get an environmental impact statement. We'd pay the consultants tens of millions of dollars. They'd say, no, 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 you can't build that military base. There's a snail in the way. It's a protected species of snail. Oh, I do it. I've become rich because of it, because nobody else could build. I was always able to get permits. I'm the king of permits. It's true. In New York, they call me the king of zoning. I was always able to get, and what that meant is nobody could compete because people found it very hard to build. We want people to be able to build. But think of what China's doing. They're building an incredible island for landing planes, 2 runways. Now they announced this morning they think they're going to add a 3rd. Why not? What the hell difference does it make? Military. They're building a military base in the middle of an ocean. And I'm telling you, the environmental impact for this country, we wouldn't be able to do it. It's the most, I'm telling you, we have to go back. We have to go back 25, 30, 40 years. We have to do something. We're getting decimated. Illegal immigration, same thing. Illegal immigration. I'm going to build a wall, okay? I'm going to build it. So I'm going to build a wall. It's going to be a great wall. It's not going to be a little wall. It's going to be a big, beautiful wall, because someday it's going to be named after me probably, and I want to make sure it looks good. And it's not going to be penetrable, and we're going to have equipment so that nobody can do tunnels underneath. Don't worry about it. They said, well, they'll go under the wall. How did they do that if people are watching? How do they do I don't care. You have all sorts of X-ray equipment. You have all sorts of things. Believe me, nobody's going tunnels under the wall. All right? And this wall's going to be real high. It's going to be real beautiful. It's going to be strong and powerful. And it's going to have openings so that people can come in when they're legally documented. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And we're going to have it. But one of the reasons, and nobody knows this, one of the reasons the wall wasn't built, they couldn't get their environmental permits. Do you believe this? True story. Go back and look. They were having a horrible time with environmental permits because of certain insects and certain toads. And we have lost our compass. This country has gone crazy. The other day on one of the networks, a woman was infuriated because somebody on the show said, that person, a certain person, is a hard worker. Don't you dare say hard worker. Why? That's not the right thing to say. How dare you say hard worker? In other words, it's now politically incorrect. You saw this. Did everybody see this? It's now politically incorrect to even say hard worker. You can't say Merry Christmas anymore. You go to Macy's, who, by the way, were very disloyal to me. Wasn't for a lot of, ties. I wasn't happy they were made in China, so what the hell can I tell you? I actually now make them in the USA. Can you believe this? Good. Costs me a little more, but we'll change that when we get them to stop manipulating their currency. We'll be able to make them in the USA, and it'll work. But Macy's was very disloyal to me. As soon as they heard, when I said illegal immigration, and they heard they were going to have a picket because there's Tyson shirts, big deal, okay? And I got a call from the head of Macy's. Donald, they're going to have pickets in front of Macy's. I said, so what? I've had pickets all my life. I've had pickets. Everything I do, I have pickets. I said, just relax. And he was a friend of mine. I'll never speak to him again, by the way. That's the way I am. You know, you heard me when they said, what's your biggest fault? They said, my biggest fault is I'm nice to people too long. And then when they take advantage, I'm still nice. But at some point, I get too angry, too long, and they can never recover. It's my fault. I'm too nice too long, and then I get too crazy too, so it's one of those. But with Macy's, they were very disloyal. I said, listen, let them have their thing. They'll be there for a half hour, maybe 45 minutes, and then we're going to go to lunch. No, they said they'd pick it. Who cares? This is what we have running our country today. Who cares? And I'll never forget this one, because I'm in New Hampshire. I'm getting ready to make a speech. Tremendous audience. Tremendous. And I'm standing on the stair, and my phone rings. In fact, I said, well, I got to get rid of the phone. There's nothing worse than a phone ringing when you're making a speech. You pick it up, it's your wife. Hello, darling, how you doing? But the phone rings, right? And I say, oh, it's the head of Macy's. His name's Terry Lundgren. Nice guy. And he said, Donald, I have to talk to you. Now, the MC is on stage. And he's saying, and the American dream, and Donald Trump, and he did this, and he wrote The Art of the Deal, and the Apprentice, and all this stuff. I'm getting ready to go on stage. I said, well, listen, Jerry, I can't talk to you. I'm sorry, like going on stage in about 2 seconds. What's up? Donald, we have to do something. We sell your shirts and ties, and they're going to picket us. Who's going to picket you? The Hispanics. I say, the Hispanics love me. I employ thousands of Hispanics. They're not going to picket you. He said, no, they said they would. Can we do something? I said, like what? Maybe we can't sell anymore. I said, wait a minute. I'm going up to make a speech. The guy said, and ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Donald Trump, and I'm talking to this guy on the phone. I'll tell you, these people behind me, the vets, they wouldn't put up. They would have been, you wouldn't put up with that. So a lot of people are boycotting Macy's. We have so many friends. It's amazing. We're all in this together. Our country's going to hell. We're run by stupid people. We are. No, we're run by stupid people. I can say this. Look, every deal we make is bad. We don't make good deals anymore. When was the last time we won on anything? We don't win anymore. No, think of it. Sometimes I'll start and I'll say, we don't have victories anymore. We don't. We don't have victories anymore. We used to have victories, but if I'm elected president, we're going to have so many victories, they're going to be coming out of your ears. You remember that? They're going to be coming out of your ears. You're going to have victories. No, you're going to have victories. No more of this nonsense. Sergeant Bergdahl, I always mention, because he's emblematic. It's not a deal, but it is a deal. They made a deal where we get a traitor, a dirty, rotten, no-good traitor, who should have been executed for what he did. Oh, he should have been. Now, I know these people would do, look, these are hardened veterans. These are hardened, okay, now, and they're very liberal. They're very liberal. Would you execute Bergdahl? Yes? I'm shocked to hear this. I would too. No, but you have to have, so now he's not going to get anything. They say he's not even going to jail. 6 people, 6 young, unbelievable people, one of them from this area, died going out to look for this guy. And they're not even going to, the recommendation, in the old days, he would have been executed. 20 years ago, he would have been in jail for the rest of his life. 10 years ago, who knows, probably a little jail time. Now he's going to get off with nothing. We're just going wrong. But here's the story with Bergdahl. We get a dirty, rotten traitor, and they get 5 of the worst killers they have that they've been after for 9 years to get them out. Okay? And these are the deals. So we get Bergdahl, they get 5. Their 5 are AAA prime for them. That's what they wanted. Those are the people they wanted. Would you make that deal? I don't think so. So there's one. Now talk about the Iran deal. Okay? The Iran deal. No, think about it. How can they do it? If I'm making a deal with somebody, and they go out and talk to everybody saying, boy, that guy, he's not smart, he's such a stupid guy, blah, blah, blah. This is what they've been doing. They've been going out, they talk. And the guy, the chief negotiator, as you know, for Iran, the Persians are great negotiators to start off with. Nothing wrong with saying that. Somebody says, oh, that's politically incorrect. They're great negotiators. They've always been great negotiators. Okay? What did they sell for years? Rugs. Oh, boy, those rugs cost a lot of money, right? So the Persians have been great negotiators, and I watched on Charlie Rose. I watched on one of the shows, and I watched him being interviewed. And after 5 minutes, I said, he's too smart for Kerry. He's too smart. He's too sharp. Too sharp. The deal they made is unbelievable. And every time there'd be a little break in the action, Obama would talk about the supreme leader. He'd call him the supreme leader. Yes, today we spoke to the supreme leader. I'm never calling him the supreme leader, believe me. When I meet him, I'll say, hey, how you doing? But I will never call him. Can you imagine this guy? He's calling him the supreme leader. So anyway, so we have breaks, and they're dancing in the streets. The deal hasn't been made yet. Think of it. The deal hasn't been made. Although what people don't even understand, the $150 billion, before they even sat down, they got that. Because when I wanted to break up the deal, I was told by the highest source, well, the money is gone. We've already agreed. In other words, the fact that we agreed to meet, they're getting the 150. This is $150 billion. They don't need nuclear weapons because they can buy them. They don't have to. Why should they work? They can buy them. Now they're going into Syria. They're going, oh. And I don't know if you heard, because people have been out here since 6 o'clock in the morning, but they say the jetliner that was shot down in Egypt, ISIS is taking credit for that. So, ISIS. We got to do something. We got to do something. And, you know, while I'm in a military area, I have to tell the story. So, big fan of MacArthur, big fan of General George Patton. These are people that we don't seem to have anymore, right? But we do have them. They're there. But they haven't been politically correct. Do you think that George Patton was politically correct? He was a brutal guy. I mean, we had somebody who was very good. You know who he was. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He was fired because he used foul language, right? You know that. I guess he wasn't a big fan of Obama, but that's okay. We can understand that. That's what made him a great general. But, no. He was fired because he was rough and tough and he used bad language. I want somebody, now, I want rough and tough, but I also want brilliant. I don't want you, you know, I know a lot of tough guys that are stupid, okay? Those guys they're easy. The tough guys that are stupid, you need big brain power. But we're going to get somebody, I'm going to find somebody. You know, you have West Point, you have the Air Force, you have the Naval Academy. You have they're there, right? They're there. We have them. You know, we have them. But those aren't the guys that do it. So I watched one of our top people, a very nice man, and he was being interviewed on television a couple of months ago. And I tell this all the time. I don't want my generals on television being interviewed. I don't want them being interviewed. And he just looks like a weak individual. You know when I said that Jeb Bush is a low-energy individual? Oh, did that kill him? I didn't want to hurt him that bad. I think he's such a nice guy. I think I'm going to revive him. It's not fair. Huh? Well, Ben Carson's a lower-key individual than he is, and I don't hear anybody. And he's a nice man. But Ben's very low-key. Honestly, I really believe we need somebody, and I was going to tell you that Hillary and Jeb said, Tone, we need somebody that has a strong temperament. We need somebody fast. We need somebody fast. Because we're losing so badly. We're losing so badly on trade. The military is what's going on. General Orellana the other day left. He was also on. Everybody goes on television. All these generals are television stars. I don't want a television. I guarantee you, General George Patton would not be big into doing Fox or CNN or anything else. He just wants to win, you know? And the problem with going on television is that word, unpredictability. They figure you out. One little thing that you say incorrectly and the enemy has you figured. I don't want my generals on television. I will tell my generals, you're never going on television. For instance, had Obama said on Iraq, we should have never gone to Iraq, we did. Okay, and I said it in 2004, Reuters, July, and I'm the most militaristic person here, okay? And you got a lot of military people. I'm more military. See these two guys? Two tough killers. I'm more militaristic than them, but you got to know where and when. And what happened is we went in, and I said, where are the weapons of mass destruction? Well, they have them, they have them, they have them. It turned out to be wrong. Okay. And people can make mistakes. Hillary voted for it, as you know. I'm the only one. And the Bush White House sent, because I get so much, an inordinate amount of publicity, would you say? You know, even though I'm a developer, I end up in a front page. I said that we shouldn't go into Iraq because you're going to destroy the balance of the Middle East. Because for years, Iran and Iraq were whacking each other. For years, that's what they do. They fight. What's for dinner? Let's fight. What do we need this for? We got to rebuild our country. We got to rebuild our country. So I said, wait a minute. If you knock out one or the other, then the other one's going to walk in. So what happened is Saddam Hussein, in my opinion, was saying he had weapons of mass destruction because he was afraid that if he didn't say it, Iran would go in and start fighting again. So he wanted to scare Iran. Okay. I think that's what happened. So he was out. But we didn't know what was going on. I said, if you do this to Iraq, you're going to have a total mismatch. Well, that's what happened. And here's what's happened now. And I said, by the way, I wish you could all read that article. July of '04, Reuters. A big article. Trump says. And the White House sent people to talk to me to try and convince me because they didn't like the publicity. I said, listen, you're making a big mistake. You got to know when to use your military. You're going to destroy the balance in the Middle East. And that's what happened. So we shouldn't have gone in, and then Obama shouldn't have gone out the way he went out. So we lost $2 trillion in Iraq. By the way, that was as of 2-3 years. I've been saying $2 trillion now for years. You know, it was good. It's much more now. But we lost more than $2 trillion. Thousands of lives of unbelievable people. And we have wounded warriors who I love all over the place. And they're great. And we're going to take care of those wounded warriors. And we're going to take care of our vets better than anybody. Anybody. We're going to take such good care of our vets, and we're going to take care of our military. We're going to build that military up. But we shouldn't have done it. And out of that, and I said, you know, people don't realize that Iraq has the second largest oil reserves in the world, okay? Iran's taken it over. Now, Iran's been trying to take it over forever, forever. That's their dream, take it over. We wiped it out, then we said, okay, we're gone. And if you remember, okay, so I said, don't go in. Now we're there, we spent a fortune. They have the so-called surge, but I mean, the truth is, look, once the enemy finds out that we're leaving, they don't fight anymore. They say, what else? You know, they always say they don't want to get killed. Believe me, they don't want to get killed. So they go back, and then as soon as we left, it was over. So Iraq right now is negotiating. As we stand here, Iraq is negotiating with Iran. Iran's going to take over for nothing. The largest oil reserve in the world. Now, you remember, we shouldn't have gone out, and we should have, what Obama should have said, we'll be there forever. We're going to be there forever with our 20,000 troops. We're going to be there forever. We're not going out. Don't worry about it. We would have deflated them. They would have said, oh, this guy's crazy. Man, he's hard to beat. Here's a guy. We draw a line in the sand. Nothing happens. I mean, honestly, folks, this is the worst. This is the worst. We've never had it like this. Had he said, we're not getting out of Iraq, shouldn't have been there. But once he said, then everybody pulled back, and we thought we were doing well. We weren't doing well. They said, why should we fight when in a year from now or 18 months, we'll walk in? That's what happened. They walk in. And it's getting worse and worse, and every week we're losing another city. So we spent, and you know my biggest problem, and it's a hard thing even to say because people hear it and they hear it loud, and you look at all those people back there, and some of them are actually good. I'm talking to the media. But the hardest thing for me is if I were a father or a mother and I lost a son or a daughter in Iraq, and I see what the end result was with these stupid, incompetent politicians, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how to explain it to those people. To me, that's the single hardest thing. How do you explain it to a mother or father, great Americans, they love the country, that we fought a war, no problem with winning with these people, with the people that we have in our military. We beat anybody. Even with the bad funding, even with the bad equipment, because, you know, we give our best equipment to the enemy. You know that. You know the story. I tell it all the time. 2,300 armor-plated Humvees, the best in the world. The wounded warriors wouldn't be wounded if they were in them instead of the garbage that they were riding in, right? We give them to our so-called friends. A bullet shot in the air, they run. Our enemy took over 2,300. I thought it was the wrong number. How can it be 2,300? You know what that is? These are the best armor-plated ones where when the bombs go off on the road, the roadway bombs, I mean, you'll be okay. You're not going to lose your arms, your legs. You'll be okay. They're all gone. They were taken. ISIS has them, that's right, and others. Everybody has them. Everybody has them but us. We're not going to let that kind of stuff happen anymore. We're going to be smart. We're going to be smart. We're going to be smart, and we're going to be tough. And we're going to be tough. And when we help other countries, they're going to help us, or they have a problem. And when we defend Japan, and when we defend, oh, look, I love South Korea. I buy so many televisions, thousands of televisions. I told the other day, 4,000 televisions I ordered for a big job I built. Great job. They're all coming, all the bids, South Korea. I said, do we have anybody in, like, the United States? Nobody. There's nobody. There's nobody. There's Sony in Japan, but they lost their way. They're not competitive price-wise. But so there's Samsung, there's LG. They all come out of South Korea. They're making a fortune. They have one of the great, great money machines ever. We defend them for nothing. For nothing. We have right now 28,000 soldiers between that mad maniac, who, by the way, has nuclear weapons. You know, we're going after Iran, and I will tell you, we will do so great. I'll have that thing figured out so fast. But that's not a bigger problem. You got North Korea that has nuclear, and nobody talks about it. You know why? Do you ever have something that's so sort of like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, it's such a bit. That's what it is. All guys don't want to talk about it. It's like this. Jesus, because we're stupid. We're stupid. No, stupid. We're afraid. We have no vision. Many reasons. But we talk about we talk all the time. Iran, Iran, Iran. And what we did is horrible. It's the single worst contract I've ever seen of any kind. I mean, real estate, I mean, business. You can't get a worse deal. We don't even get our prisoners back. By the way, before we get back to North Korea, our prisoners, the other day, they should have come with a deal. For $150 billion, we don't get 4 guys back. $150 billion. We don't get one's in there because he's a Christian pastor. I met his wife. She's so nice. She's devastated. She doesn't know what's happening. We don't get our people back. $150 billion. They're going to have nuclear weapons within 10 years. After 10 years, it's a guarantee. Israel is really in trouble. I will tell you, but we'll protect. Israel's not in trouble if I win. That I can tell you. They're not in trouble. Believe me. I mean, Obama is the worst thing that has ever happened to Israel. Honestly. I can't, it's hard to believe what's going on there. But if I win, Israel's protected. That I can tell you. That I can tell you. And Bibi's a friend of mine. He can't even believe it. Can't believe it. It's like, what did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? And they have been a stable source. They've been our friends. They've been so many different things. So we're going to protect them. But you have the Iraq and you have the Iran. Iran now is going to be a superpower. We've let them be. We don't get our prisoners. They came back to us the other day and they said, well, now negotiate for the prisoners. In other words, the deal is done. They got their money. They have the 24 days. They have the self-inspections. How about the self-inspections? That's, to me, the greatest. You know what? I'd rather give them self-inspections than take the $150 billion back. I'd rather have the cash, but because I'll work out the self-inspections later. The cash is gone. It's gone. But how about this? And now they come back to us and they say, the deal's done. We will consider offers for the prisoners. Okay, do you believe this? Do you believe this? Instead of going in, did you ever see a negotiation take so long? Instead of going in years ago, when it started, years, it's been going on forever. Kerry goes in bicycle races, breaks his leg. No, it's been going on forever. It's been going on just forever. So what happens is they come back to us now and they say, years later, they say, we're going to negotiate with the prisoners. So we say, what do they want? This is what they want. We want 19 people that we have been trying to get for a long time. We want 19 people. We won't give you back 4. We'll only give you back 3, because the other guy had a phony trial. He's a reporter for the Washington Post. And he looks like a nice guy. And actually, the Washington Post has been very nice to me lately. So I like him even more. It's true. But he's a reporter for the Washington Post. And he had a phony trial. So they're not going to even talk about him. So here's the deal. They'll give us 3, not 4. And they want 19. And we want many other things. Do you believe this? I want to throw a rock through the television. So what happens is this. Let's say 3 years ago, whenever this thing started, you know, they asked me, one of the great business magazines actually did a nice story on me. How long should it have taken to deal with Iran? A day, but maybe a week, okay? But no longer than a week. A week is too much. Because what happened, this took years. I don't know, was it 2 years, 3 years? It's been going on forever. And we kept giving up on every point. We want this, no. Okay. We want that, no. Okay. We got nothing. We got nothing. Those days are over, by the way. But we got nothing. So now, at the beginning, what we do, if they have the right message, you know, I can give you words, and I can take somebody here, I can take Kerry, and give him the exact words that I say. He won't get it, and I will. It's tone. It's something. It's something. Somebody, I made a deal a couple of years ago, and they interviewed one of the people, and it turned out to be a great deal. I was so proud of that deal. Oh, you know, you're not allowed. Are you allowed to use bad words here? No. You know, the problem with using the bad word, then they say, he used foul language, one little bad word. It doesn't even have to be a bad, it just has to be a little bit bad, just like slightly. The headline is Trump, so I'm not using a bad word. So I was going to say, boy, did I really, them. So instead I'll say, I took advantage of people that weren't as smart. Anyway, they interviewed one of the people on the other side, and they said, And the guy was a really nice guy. A lot of things happened, including timing was better for me and stuff. So a lot of things happened. But he said something that I thought at first I was a little insulted. Then I realized it was a compliment. I called him. I said, was that a compliment? He said, yeah, Trump did beat us in that. He's totally unpredictable. This guy's totally unpredictable. And I said, well, I called him. I said, was that good? He said, yeah, we couldn't figure you out. I said, I thought that was it. And what I said is we need to be unpredictable. We have to be unpredictable. We have to do something about North Korea. By the way, before I get back, we have to do something about North Korea. Have to do something about it. And here's who solves the problem. China! Because China is very smart. They buy apartments, they pay me $25 million, more. 25 is like a cheap one nowadays, okay? They give me a fortune. I have them as tenants in my building. The biggest bank in the world is a tenant in one of my buildings. China's great, they're fine. I mean, you can't blame China if we have people that are incompetent represented. You can't be angry at China. So what happens is China now and all of these other countries at the highest level, they're like, picking your pockets, right? It all changes. With South Korea, they have to pay us for this kind of protection. They have to. And you know what? If explained in the right way, they'll pay us. Just like if we went back and if we went to Iran and if we said at day one, not after the negotiation, but before we start, we want our prisoners. They'll say, no, 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 we will not do that. That's okay, bye-bye. Then you double up the sanctions. No, you double up the sanctions, right? You double up the sanctions. And I guarantee you within a week, probably less, they'll call back. All right, we'll do the prisoner thing, but okay. And all you have to do is say, listen, we got to have our prisoners back. Our people want them, your people don't care. They don't even know they're there. We need our prisoners back. And if you had the right messenger, like me, like Carl Icahn. You know Carl Icahn, very successful guy, great guy. He endorsed me the other day. He's a very rich guy, worth billions, great deal maker. I said, Carl, I want you just to focus on China. You can rest assured, folks, I know the best, and I know the worst, and I know the overrated, and I know guys that are really good and not so good. I know guys you've never heard of that are better than all of them. You can rest assured, Carl, watch, he doesn't want money. He wants it because it's like something he could do that's great. He wants great. It will be so good for us. We lose $400 billion a year in trade about. Think of it. And it's been going on for years. $400 billion. $400 billion. Now, China is the key to the puzzle without having to use lots of things that we don't want to because a lot of bad things happen. China has total control over North Korea. They say, no, no, we do not. So they go to Kerry, and he says, you have to help us with, well, they're crazy. We don't really have control. They wouldn't eat without China. Everything comes through China that goes to North Korea. But they're smart, and they love tweaking us. So they say, no, I'm sorry, we don't have any control over North Korea. He's crazy, isn't he? I can just imagine these guys softening our stupid people up. No, no, we don't have any control. Yeah, that's right. We give them their food. We give them their weapons. We give them everything. No, no, we have no control. All they have to do is stop one little supply route. They'll starve to death. So China has no control, and that's what they told. And Kerry was on television 2 weeks ago saying, well, China doesn't have the control that people think. Oh, great, thank you. Because they said, because China loves this. China loves this. China in Afghanistan, we're in Afghanistan, and it's got big mountains, very big mountains, rough. They're great fighters. They've always been. They destroyed Russia. They destroyed because Russia couldn't beat them. And that's when you had the Soviet Union. That's why it became Russia, because they went bust. But what happens is we're fighting in Afghanistan over here. And on the other side, nobody knew this. Afghanistan has tremendous wealth in minerals. Nobody knew this. I didn't know it. Tremendous wealth. You have these massive excavators from China on the other side of the mountain taking out all the minerals. So we're fighting. They're taking out the minerals. Who is the largest purchaser of Iraqi oil? China. They didn't spend 10 cents on helping us. They didn't lose anybody. They buy the oil, and they buy it from ISIS too. So we end up with that. We just don't get it. So I would have said what we do, and what we do very, very strongly, I want our prisoners. We would have had them. I would have doubled up the sanctions. We would have made a phenomenal deal, because I love having a deal. But it's got to be a great deal. The worst thing is a bad deal. And I will tell you, see the book? Hold that book up. Let me see that book. Get that book. No, that one right there. Come here. Good shot. You almost, give me that book. Give me that book. That's a good book. This one, very good. Excellent. How many people read this book? Everybody. Who didn't read it? Give me that book. Okay. This book, a very good book. Okay, now I've done my stuff. I wouldn't even buy, because I have a new one coming out in November, which is a tough one. So if we use our head, and you know, one of the things I have to tell you, when I was talking about Bush 2 weeks ago, I said in my book, The America We Deserve, I said that we have to be careful. We've got these maniacs. And this book was written in 2000, before the World Trade Center came down. And we've got a terrorist out there named Osama bin Laden, and we better do something about him. And I said, he goes, he gets hit, and then he crawls under a rock. All this stuff. I said it. And one of the really good MCs, a guy named Joe Scarborough from Morning Joe, somebody was in, they said, you know, Trump actually predicted, because all these guys say, well, Trump doesn't have military experience. I'll tell you what, I will be as good on military as I'm going to be on jobs and the economy. Believe me. Believe me. So I wrote a book called The America We Deserve in the year 2000, before the Trade Center came down. And Joe said, no, wait a minute. Do you mean, what, that name? That's before the building came down. He couldn't believe it. Nobody could believe it. That's what I did. I do that. I do that. Because he was a terrorist at the time, and he was always threatening us. And I said, we better be careful with this guy. I saw him one time. I said, we better be careful with this guy. I was on television. He was really saying bad stuff. I said, we better be careful with this guy. And I'm writing this book, my only political book that I wrote. And I'm writing this book because it's always about business, how to make money, how to make money. And honestly, they do better than this book did. Okay? That's the only book I ever had that wasn't like a big bestseller. It's crazy because people want to hear me with the business. But the truth is, I think I'd be great with this stuff because I am smart. And I get it. And I also know that people want to do lots of bad things to us because they're angry and jealous and a lot of things. So when these announcers, some of them weren't even like fans of mine. They all said, he'll never run, and you know, all that. They feel not so good right now. But when they said, well, when did you write that? Before the World Trade, they couldn't believe it. They said, what do you mean? The guy goes, whoa! I'm sort of proud of that. Unfortunately, nobody did anything about it. Nobody did anything about it. So what we have to do is we have to make good deals. We have to get China to solve the North Korea problem. And they'll do it. And when they tell me, well, you know, we don't have much to do with North Korea, he's a little difficult, I say, fellas, get your ass out of here. You better take care of that guy. And I'll tell you why. Well, let me explain. So somebody would say, you can't talk to China that way. We have no power or stand. We rebuilt China, folks. They have taken so much money out of us. We have rebuilt it. They've taken our jobs. They've taken our base. They've taken our manufacturing, along with other. I use them because they're the ultimate abuser. They're the ultimate. They're the best. Their manipulation of their currency has been genius. Too bad we didn't do it, right? Too bad we didn't do it. But they're the best. So we have tremendous power over China. We have tremendous power over Japan. They send those cars in. Do you remember about 12 years ago? One of our presidents got a little tough with Japan and said, we're not going to take your cars unless you equalize your currency and lots of other things. And we were winning, and he gave up. He quit because the lobbyists got to him. You know, that was before the super PACs, but it's basically the same thing. The super PACs are controlling our politicians. Well, before the super PACs, this was before, cash controlled our politicians. Now, the super PAC, when you see these, I wrote either 9 or 11 letters to people. Everyone's opening up super PACs, Trump super PACs. I don't want them. I don't want them because it's going to lead to problems like you've ever. It's a scam. It's a scam. You look at what's going on in Iowa, where super PACs are running campaigns for people, and millions of dollars is being passed. It's a disgrace. We better get rid of super PACs, or you're going to see problems like you never believed. These politicians are nothing more than puppets for the super PACs, for the lobbyists. I'm telling you. And I say it proudly. I say it very proudly. I am the only one that's self-funding my campaign. I'm putting up all my own money. I actually feel foolish because so many people want to put me, you know, you're a #1 position. Everyone wants to, Don, I have $5 million. I'd like to, I won't take it. I feel like it's like not my life. My whole life I take money. I'm good at that. I'm good at that. That's Hillary. So remember what I said, and I'm going to talk just for a little while about the vets, because the vets have been so badly treated. And I also want to tell you, I think the date is December. We have so many people that have signed up to help Trump and to make sure the vote gets out and all of that. I don't believe we can actually put the petitions in until sometime in December. And we need 5,000 signatures. We already have 15,000, and it took just a tiny bit. So we have everything. And Virginia's a hard place. You know, Virginia's very hard. You probably heard. I mean, Newt had a hard time. Newt wasn't on the ballot. A lot of people don't go on the ballot in Virginia. It's very hard. And maybe it should be hard. You know, whatever it is, you have to do your thing. But we're all set. The day we're all done. We have all of the signatures, many times what we need, just in case. And so we're all set to file. So let's talk for a couple of minutes, because we have a lot of vets here. We have to talk about the vets. And we have to talk about what we're going to do with the vets, because the vets are being treated very badly. And we're filing with those folks back there. We're filing big plans today about our concept for the vets. And we start off by saying the Veterans Administration reforms, that will make America great again. You know, the vets have done more for us than all of us, because it's just an amazing thing. At the end of the 1990s, I held a parade because the vets weren't being treated properly. They had a few, and a lot of people know that story, but I was the Grand Marshal, but I actually put up the money, I held the parade. And it was an amazing day in my life. And we had one of the biggest parades in the history of New York. We went from the previous year where they had like 300 people out in a parade, and everyone, they moved it over to Riverside South, which is an area where there are very few people that are going to be watching a parade. And we moved the parade back to Fifth Avenue where it belonged, and we had one of the largest parades in the history of New York City, and I was so proud of it. So I understand the situation. And I just want to talk about the goals of the Veterans Plan. And the current state of the Department of Veterans Affairs is absolutely unacceptable. Over 300,000, this is hard to believe, and it's actually much more than that now. Over 300,000 veterans died waiting for care. Corruption, and believe me, corruption's a big part of it, all right? Corruption and incompetence were totally excused. Everyone forgot about it. Politicians in Washington have done too little, too slowly to fix it. The fact is they've done nothing. They pour money at it, but then everybody steals the money. Okay? And I've gotten so friendly with so many vets. I go to New Hampshire, I go to Iowa, tremendous amount. I go to South Carolina a lot. I've gotten friendly with some of the vets. They tell me stories where they wait 5, 6, 7 days, and then when they're going to see the doctor says, I can't see, I'm going on vacation, and things are happening that are just bad. I mean, think about it, and some of you know the feeling because you're vets, but think about somebody think about me going to my doctor's office and waiting 4 days. If I wait 15 minutes, I'm angry as hell at the doctor. I'm saying, what took you so long? But these people are waiting days and days. As of about 2 months ago on a Wednesday, it was the longest wait in a waiting room in the history of the Veterans Administration. So it's a disgrace. That's not going to happen with me, but let's talk about it. So this situation can never happen again, and when I become president, it will be fixed, and we'll fix it fast, okay? Thank you. The guiding principle of the Trump plan is ensuring that veterans have convenient access to the best quality care. I want them to have the access that I have. To further this principle, the Trump plan will decrease wait times, improve health care outcomes, really improve them, and facilitate a seamless transition from service into civilian life. You know, you have people that have been out on the battlefield. They've been in Iraq, and they've been in Afghanistan, and they come back here, and you know, it takes a while. It's hard. You got to adjust. It's common sense. So, a few of the points. The plan will ensure our veterans get the care they need whenever and wherever they need it. No more long drives. People drive for a day. No more waiting for days and days. No more excessive red tape, which is unbelievable. One of the real problems is the red tape is so incredible. Just the care and support they earned with their service to our country. Simple. We're going to support the whole veteran, meaning everything. All parts of the veteran. Not just their physical health care, but also by addressing their visible wounds, investing in our service members' post-activity duty success. We have to help them. We have to help them get back. And we're going to transform the VA to meet the needs of the 21st century, because it's different than it used to be. Times are different. Things are different. We're going to make the VA great again. We're making America great again. We're going to make the VA great again. We're going to make the VA great again. And we're going to do it by firing the corrupt and incompetent VA executives who let our veterans down. By modernizing, we're going to modernize the VA, and we're going to be empowering the doctors and nurses, some of whom I hear are fantastic people in the VA. Okay? Is that true? No, I hear that they have some really dedicated, but I hear the administration and the people getting to see these doctors, but I do hear from people, I have to be honest, I do hear that some of these doctors and nurses are fantastic people and they really work hard, but between the red tape and the ways and the bureaucratic mess, it's impossible. So we're going to empower the doctors and nurses to ensure our veterans receive the best care available in a very fast and timely manner, right? The plan gives veterans the freedom to choose and the forces, and remember this, the VA, so that the VA has to compete with other places, okay? It's going to have to compete. Because you have hospitals right next to VA centers that are empty. They're dying. They got doctors, they got nurses, they have no business. You know, the hospital, look, Obamacare is a disaster. We're going to repeal it or replace it. Okay. It's a disaster. It is a disaster. But the hospitals haven't been big beneficiaries. The big beneficiary for Obamacare were his donors, the insurance companies. Just like I can tell you, everybody that's running against me, they will be totally controlled, and I can tell you who just by, because I know many of these lobbyists that are giving all this money. Do you think a lobbyist puts up millions of dollars? They put up millions of dollars. Do you think they give Bush or Rubio or any of these people millions of dollars and they don't expect? These are killers. I know them very well. I've used them in some cases. Some have been good, some haven't been so good, okay? And when they're not good, I say, you're fired. But these people have total control over these. The insurance companies with Obamacare have been the big success. They made a fortune. You can't go over state lines. I mean, they made an absolute fortune. We have hospitals, both private and public, and we have doctors, and you're losing a lot of your doctors because of Obamacare, because they need more accountants than they have nurses. It's so complicated. So we're going to end it. We're going to end it. Okay. Now, politicians in Washington have tried to fix the VA by holding hearings and blindly throwing money at the problem. They did it a year ago. They threw money. The money's gone. Nobody knows what happened to it. You remember, I won't mention the name of the person, but a certain person threw a lot of money at it. It's just a waste. It's not even a money problem, because we can say, it's like I'm running for president. I have spent less money than any other candidate running for president, and I'm number one. Now, think of it. No, think of it. Think of it. So I've spent, and a big part of what I spent is my airplane, which I get reimbursed for. So that shows here, but so I spend even less than people think. You have to put down market value, you're playing, whatever the hell it is, so they put it down there. So it's actually even better. But I've spent less money than any other candidate. We're number one. Others have spent $28 million. I think if I net it out, I'm like at $1 million, right? So far, it's been a good deal, right? So far. But think of it. No, but think of it. Think of it. Wouldn't it be great if our country would spend less money and be number one? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Like, as an example, we spend the most money by far per pupil. Common Core has to go. By the way, Common Core has to go. A lot of the people on the stage are in favor of Common Core. Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, we're saving them. We're going to save them. We're going to save them. But, and honestly, in all fairness, Ben Carson wants to abolish Medicare. You can't do that. No, you can't do it. Well, why didn't you show that in the polling booth, okay? No, how do you abolish Medicare? It's actually a popular program. You get rid of the waste, the fraud, and the abuse. It's a popular program. But wouldn't it be nice if our country would spend less money and be number one in terms of success? So in education, we spend double the money, I believe, of number two, and we're ranked number 28 in the world. We have third world countries that are ahead of us. So we spend the money. So it's not just, even with the VA, it's not the money. Because they just keep throwing more and more and more, and people steal it, and they're bad. But think of our educational system. We're ranked 28th in the world. You have some of these countries that you've never even heard of. You have countries that are third world countries. They're ranked ahead of the United States. And then you have guys like Bush, like Rubio, like others that want education like Kasich. They want education to come out of Washington. Okay? Education has to be local. We have to bring it back to the grassroots. We have to bring it back and get rid of this Common Core. Okay. And it's very funny. So I spent less money. So I said to my guys, you know, that's embarrassing. I haven't spent enough. How can I advertise? I was going to have spent 20 million, 25 million. It's all earmarked. I actually do budgets, you know. So of the 25 million that I was going to spend up until today's date, how much do you think I spent on advertising? Take a guess. 2 million, 4 million, 5, 8, 0. No, because I get good ratings, by the way. So the first debate had 24 million people. In the history of cable, it was number one. Second debate on CNN, that was on Fox. Second debate on CNN had 23 million. In the history of CNN, with all the floods and wars, the history of CNN, they never had, I mean, people would watch, like a tiny audience would watch. They had 23 million. So you had 24 million. Then the other day, by the way, was this guy John Harwood, was he a dope? What a dope. What a fool. And, you know, when you get bad people, and look what it cost NBC. It hurt their reputation. It's a shame, actually. But he was really a jerk. But at the same time, I don't care. I don't want the Republicans to look weak, like we're not afraid to take, you know, we're afraid to take questions. And, you know, in many ways, I like it because it shows you can answer any question. You know, it's like we got to handle Putin, we got to handle China, we got to handle all these people, we got to take care of ISIS, but we're afraid to have a tough question. Who hits me with besides that, I got all the tough questions, nobody else. So yesterday they had a record, the biggest in the history of CNBC. I think it was 16 million people. How many people would have watched those 3 debates if Trump wasn't in? Take a guess. Very few. Very few. Oh, it would have. People would have said, Alice, let's watch the game, okay? Believe me. I had one very good, The Herd. I was watching him the other day, sportscaster, good sportscaster, and he's saying, you know, I couldn't watch the World Series. I'm fascinated by Trump and the way he talks. This is a guy, you know, Colin Herd, The Herd. And he's a good guy. I'm in someplace. I'm in one of my favorite places, Nevada, where we're leading in every poll and leading with Hispanics. And I'm watching it. And I'm just watching the sports just to see who won the Met game. And he starts to say, you know, I couldn't watch much of the game. I love Trump. This guy, I love the way he speaks. I love Trump. I kept watching the debate. And when the other guys went on, I went to the game. But when Trump came back, I went back. And I'm saying, this is weird. I'm watching them, and they'll check. You'll have to check. The herd check them just to make sure I'm right. You know, I can't say anything that's false, because if I say things that are false, the next day I end up with big questions. Because every word I say, they cover. So get back to the plan. So the politicians in Washington, they've tried to fix the VA by holding hearings, hearing after hearing, you've been to many of them, and by blindly throwing money at the problem. None of it's worked. In fact, wait times were 50% higher this summer, after all that money was spent, than they were a year ago or ever before. And that's because the VA lacks the right leadership and right management. And it's time we fix this whole thing, and it's time we stop trusting these incompetent, know-nothing, all talk, no action politicians in Washington. I will fix it. And by the way, and I have to say it, and I don't care, because look, if this works out, I'm going to make America great again. If it doesn't work out, hey, that's okay. Okay? But it's time we have to say it. I like Ben Carson, but there's no way he can fix this, folks. There's no way. There's no way. You know, I've made a lot of money. Deals are people. Deals are people. And you got to analyze people. And I can look at people. I can tell you. I'll get along with Putin. I was on 60 Minutes with Putin. He was my stablemate 3 weeks ago. We got the highest ratings in a long time on 60 Minutes. You saw that, right? He was my stablemate. I believe I'll get along with him. It was Trump and Putin, Putin and Trump. I'd even let him go first if it makes us friendly. I'll give up the name. I'll give up that place. But I was on 60 Minutes 3 weeks ago. I get along with him. Right now, you watch Obama. Oh, boy. The level of, I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous. What's the purpose of it? And by the way, I'll get along and we'll do much better. Not worse. We'll do better. We'll do great. All right. So, under a Trump administration, all veterans eligible for VA health care can bring their veteran's ID card to any doctor or care facility that accepts Medicare to get the care they need immediately. Immediately. Our veterans have earned the freedom to choose, and they have. They have earned the freedom to choose. And they can choose better or more convenient care from the doctor and facility of their choice. And I will tell you, it will cost us less money. It'll be better than having these massive lines and everybody waiting and everybody going wild. Some centers, you'll probably get rid of them and you'll sell them and let somebody build apartments or buildings or something. We'll take care of, and now you'll be able to choose your doctor. Remember Obama said, choose your doctor, choose your plan. 28 times. The Democrats fell for it. I have friends that are Democrats. I get a lot of friends that are Democrats, too. They were lied to. They were defrauded. It's a fraud. 28 times he said, you'll have your own doctor. He knew you didn't have it. The guy who drew up the plan, remember, where they caught him in a stone cold, he said the people are stupid. They believed it. He said the people are stupid when he thought he was talking to a couple of his friends. And one of his friends wasn't so friendly because he was recording the conversation. And to me, that's a fraud. And I don't understand why somebody hasn't brought suits and why we haven't won. It was a fraud. If you do that in the private world, you go to jail for what he did. Obama said 28 different times, you keep your doctor, everything. And in all fairness to a lot of these Democrats, congressmen and senators, they voted because they believed him. Because none of them read the plan. The plan's this tall. And they voted. It was a lie. It was a great, big, fat, disgusting lie. It was a fraud on the American people. The power to choose will stop the wait time backlogs and the force of the VA to improve and compete The departments will become efficient, and if they're not efficient, you're not going to have to worry about it. I'll worry about it, because you're going to have your care. The VA will become more responsive to veterans, develop more efficient systems, and improve the quality of care, because it will have no other choice. And it'll happen. Thank you. I love you too. I love you. So a few of the things we want to do, and we're going to have the plan out, and you're going to have it. It's going to be all over the place by tonight, even by now. We're going to increase funding for job training and placement services, including incentives for companies hiring veterans who are phenomenal people. So we're going to give a big incentive to companies for hiring veterans, and they're getting a great deal because they're getting incentive and they're hiring the best people. So we're going to have educational support, and we're going to create business loans for the folks coming back. All Americans agree that we must do everything we can to help put our service men and women, because we've forgotten about the women. You know, we're thinking from 25 years ago with this deal. To put the men and women on a path to success as they leave active duty by collaborating with many successful nonprofit organizations, of which there are many good ones, that are already helping. Service members have learned valuable skills in the military, but many need help understanding how to apply those skills in civilian life. It's different. If I was thrown into the military, I mean, it takes you a while to adjust. You know me, I'm pretty good with adjustment. If I'm all of a sudden in the military, it's like it takes a while. So how to apply those skills in civilian life? There's a period of time you need help. Others know how to apply those skills, but need help connecting with good jobs to support their families. We're going to help them. Still others have an entrepreneurial spirit, which we love, and are ready to start creating jobs and growing the economy. And they'll be able to do that. And we'll get some of these regulators out of the banks so you can borrow and you can help. Because, you know, the banks now, they can't do anything. They're run by the regulators. In all fairness to the banks, they're run by the regulators. When you see the president of the bank, I mentioned the word regulator. These guys come in, they run the banks. And they don't loan money to people that need. They only give money to people. If I get calls all the time from banks. I don't need money. You see that in my statements, right? How about that? Everybody said he won't put it in a statement. Maybe it's not as good as people think. I put it in. It's much better. I'm loaded, okay? The banks want to give me all the money I want, but I don't need the money. But if somebody needs the money to create a company, create jobs, do a development, they can't get it. So some have, thank you, darling, you're awesome too. Some have that entrepreneurial spirit. We're going to help them. The Trump plan will strengthen existing programs or replace them with more effective ones to address these needs and to get our veterans working, which is they want to do. That's what they want to do. They want to work. We want to transform the VA to meet the needs of the 21st century service members. Today's veterans have a very different, and they have very different needs than, you know, is that a correct statement, would you say? I think, right? Than those of the past, different times. The VA must adopt to meet the needs of this generation of younger, more diverse veterans. We have younger veterans. In a way, they have bigger problems. The Trump plan will expand VA services for female veterans, which we have to do, and ensure the VA is providing the right support for this new generation of veterans. We're going to better support our women veterans. The fact that many VA hospitals don't permanently staff OB/GYN doctors shows an utter lack of respect for the growing number of female veterans. The number is growing so rapidly, and we're not taking care of them. We will take care of our female veterans. Under our plan, every VA hospital in the country will be fully equipped with OB/GYN and other women's health services. In addition, women's veterans can always choose a different OB/GYN in their community using their veteran's ID card. So if So if they're not giving you the service, the treatment, if you're waiting too long, you're going to go and you're going to get the right service. And you know, I said it before, it's going to cost the government less money. It's going to be it's going to be great service, and it's going to be less, and you're going to choose somebody and some place that you're going to love. The Trump plan will make the VA great again. Very important. So, to sum up, the VA health care program is a total disaster. Nothing short of a disaster. Some candidates want to get rid of it, but our veterans need the VA to be there for them and their families. I don't want to get rid of it. I want to supplement it. I want to help. I want to help them. We're going to supplement it with some wonderful hospitals that are doing no business, with some wonderful doctors that could use the business. They're going to get out of business. They're leaving. They're leaving because of Obamacare with the increases. Have you seen what's happening to your premiums? Have you seen what's happening to your deductibles? You can go and spend thousands of dollars with your doctor and you're not covered. The deductibles are through the roof. The premiums are... By the way, a big report came out. In 2017, Obamacare is going to have to be renegotiated because it's such a disaster. People are leaving it. It's not working. And if we picked the right Supreme Court justice instead of Justice Roberts, we would have had Obamacare killed twice. I won't tell you who appointed him. I will not tell you. But you would have had it killed twice. So, in a nutshell, we're going to fire the corrupt and incompetent VA executive. All of these executives that let our veterans down. They let them down. They let them down. Under a Trump administration, there will be no job security for the VA executives that enabled or overlooked corruption and incompetence. None. As I've said and done very well with it, you're fired. And we will. They're fired. They're gone. No, and we're not going to play games either. There's some great people out there. They're great jobs. We're going to get great people. New leadership will focus the VA staff on delivering timely, top-quality care and other services to our nation's great veterans. Under a Trump administration, exposing and addressing the VA's inefficiencies and shortcomings, and this is so important, inefficiencies and shortcomings will be rewarded, not punished. We're going to find out where it's going bad, why it's going bad, and we're going to fix it. We're going to end waste, fraud, and abuse. End waste, fraud, and abuse. Very simple. Under this plan, we'll ensure the VA is spending its dollars wisely, not corruptly, because I believe a lot of it's corruption, personally, because nobody can be that incompetent. Okay, I mean, you're not going to be a big administrator or a big doctor and you don't know, where to spend the money. So I believe a lot of it's corruption. To provide the greatest impact for veterans and hold administrators accountable for irresponsible spending and abuse. The days of $6.3 million spent for statues and fountains at a VA facility, you saw that one. Think of it, $6.3 million. I didn't spend anywhere near that at Doral, and I have the most beautiful fountains there are. I don't know, what do you get, $6.3 million? But it's well known. And $300,000 for a manager, gets $300,000 to move 140 miles over into a little different area. Got paid $300,000. The Trump plan will clean up the VA's finances so the current VA budget provides more and better care than it does now, and we'll have money actually left over. We'll have money left over. Just like I spent the least, I got the best result. Okay? It's going to be this way. And we have great managers. It's about management. We're going to modernize the VA with and this is so important, really with 21st century, 22nd century if you want. We're going to modernize it with the greatest technology, and all of the service members and all of their families, we're going to take care of them. The VA has been promising to modernize for years without any results. I mean, and I'm talking about any results. The Trump plan will make it happen by accelerating and expanding investments in the state and art technology. I mean, you have a state-of-the-art technology, and we're going to invest money in the state-of-the-art technology. Many of the people who died waiting online, the 300,000 plus people, with one visit, they could have been okay. They would have been here. They could have used a small operation. They could have used a prescription. They couldn't even get to see their doctor. All veterans should be able to conveniently schedule appointments, communicate with their doctors, and view accurate wait times with the push of a button. 21st century. We have to empower the caregivers. These are amazing people. I made a big contribution. Elizabeth Dole does a very good job with people. I call them the angels. They're like angels. These are people, actually, who take care of their husbands and, in some cases, their wives, where a soldier comes home, he's badly, badly hurt, and a wife devotes her life to taking care of a person that she loves. And it's so tough. And these people are never spoken about. And I didn't know too much about it. And they say that if this didn't happen, the numbers that you're looking at now would be peanuts. It's a massive number of people. These are great people. They'll take care of their husbands or wives in some cases. These are really, and I call them the angels. I went to Washington. I made a very big contribution because I was going to give something. Then when I met them, I gave a good contribution. I never saw people like this. Their whole life is devoted to their husband or their wife, who in some cases is so badly wounded, so badly hurt. In some cases, it doesn't work out. Some people can't do it. They can't do it. They can't take it. They can't do it. It's a huge problem. But the people that do, these are the angels. They didn't use that term. I came up with that term. I said, these are the angels. I met 78 of them in Washington, D.C. They were amazing people. And frankly, most people never even heard about this. They don't even know about it. These are family members that take care of unbelievable people that are horrifically wounded in some cases. So caregivers should be able to easily streamline treatment, and plans across departments utilize the telehealth, the whole new thing with telehealth, tools to better serve their patients. As we've seen from the private sector, the potential, and it's, a very important word because we're not using it in the VA. So as we've seen from the private sector, the potential for new innovative technology is endless. So many things are happening now where problems could be solved in one visit that you wouldn't have been able to solve 10 years ago. Abandoning the wasteful and archaic mindset of the public sector will soon give way, if I'm elected, to the tremendously effective veterans health care system that's going to work so well. And you know what? You've been voting for politicians for years. They'll say, oh, what does Trump do? He's not thank God I've been a politician for 3 months. Okay? A little bit more. I never thought I'd be a politician. I've always done so well with politicians. Now I'm a politician. I hate to say I'm a politician. I'm embarrassed, but I'll say it. A couple of other points because of where we are and because of the fact that the plan is being submitted. We're going to hire more veterans, and we're going to do it through the veterans, to care for the veterans. So veterans are going to care for the veterans. We're going to embed satellite VA clinics in rural and underserved areas. We have areas of this country where you have vets, and they're totally underserved. They have to drive a day. They can't get to service. And we're going to take care of that. And we're going to increase funding for job training and all of those other things. In the end, what we're going to have is we're going to have a healthcare system and a general system, including job system and getting people back where they want to be working and working hard, that's going to be the envy of the world. It's going to be a great system. It's going to be a great system. And to me, it's one of the most important things. So just to sum up, we're going to stop illegal immigration. And we are going to build a wall, and Mexico is going to pay for the wall, by the way. They will. You know why they will? Because we have a trade imbalance of $45 billion a year with Mexico. The wall's going to cost $6-7 billion. It's peanuts compared to what they do. Peanuts. These politicians say, you ever hear these guys on the stage with me? They will never pay for it. Of course they won't. If they ask, there's no chance. If I ask, I guarantee Mexico will, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Remember, we give them billions of dollars. We give them billions of dollars. The government doesn't help us. The government sends people over. Why should they take care of them when we'll take care of them, okay? Why should they put them in their jails when we'll put them in ours? Then you have a situation like Kate in San Francisco and so many other situations. And boy, did I take heat when I announced. And I said, I talked about illegal immigration. For 2 weeks, the heat I took, Rush Limbaugh said the incoming that Trump took, I've never seen anything like it. And he's a great guy. But he said, I've never seen anything like it. And all of a sudden, people realized I was right. So we're going to build a wall. We're going to have people come in. They're going to come in legally. We're going to build up our military stronger than it's ever been before. Ever, 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 ever. We're going to take care of our vets. We're going to make great trade deals with the smartest people on the planet. We have the smartest people on the planet, and we don't use them. We're going to make great deals. Instead of being a laughingstock all over the world, we're going to make the great trade deals. We're going to become rich again. The American dream will be back. And we are going to make America great again. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
We will make America great again.